Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Entertainment with Buford and Francis. Today, I will be cosplaying as Francis from the Fairly Odd Parents, and I will be telling the story of Pocahontas. Enjoy the video. In 1607 England, a ship carrying British settlers sails for North America on behalf of the Virginia Company in search of gold and other material riches. Among those on board are Captain John Smith and Governor Radcliffe. A storm erupts and Smith saves the life of an inexperienced young settler named Thomas when he falls overboard, befriending him in the process serving as his big brother figure. In the New World, Pocahontas is on top of the waterfall where she can dive into the lake to swim and then get onto Nakoma's canoe. She learns to her dismay that her father thinks she should marry Kokaume, one of his finest warriors. But though he is handsome and a fine warrior, Pocahontas does not love him, feeling he is far too serious. This is emphasized, showing several children trying to play with him, while he stalwartly ignores them. She asks the advice from the talking tree spirit named Grandmother Willow. Grandmother Willow tells Pocahontas to listen with her heart, and she may understand. The British settlers land in what will become Virginia and dig for gold under Radcliffe's orders. Less concerned with gold, John Smith explores the territory, finding the New World to be a place full of adventure. All the time he is followed by the curious Pocahontas and comes to encounter her. The two spend time together, with Pocahontas teaching John to look at the world in a different way and not to think of people who are different as savages. Back at the settlement, Powhatan has sent some scouts to learn more about the new arrivals. They are spotted. Governor Radcliffe assumes that it is an ambush, and one of the warriors is shot. The warriors retreat, and Powhatan declares that the white men are dangerous and that no one should go near them. A few days later, John and Pocahontas meet again, during which John learns that there is no gold in the land. They agree to meet at Grandmother Willow's glade again that night. When Pocahontas returns to her village, she finds that the warriors from the neighboring tribes have arrived to help Powhatan fight the settlers. She tries to convince her father to stop, but no avail, even though she assures that if one of the settlers wanted to talk, he would listen. Back at the English fort, John tells Radcliffe there is no gold in the land, when Radcliffe does not believe. Thinking that the natives have hidden the gold for themselves, he declares that they will eliminate them all, that anyone who refuses will be branded a traitor and executed by hanging. That night, Pocahontas' best friend Nakoma catches her sneaking off and informs Kokaume that she has gone. Meanwhile, John sneaks out of the fort, and Radcliffe orders Thomas to follow him. Pocahontas and John meet in the glade, where both Pocahontas and Grandmother Willow convince John to try talking to Chief Powhatan to resolve the conflict. Both Kokaume and Thomas watch from the shadows as John and Pocahontas kiss. Kokaume, overwhelmed by jealousy, attacks and tries to kill John, but even as he is successfully being pushed off, Thomas intervenes and kills Kokaume. Hearing voices approaching, John tells a guilt-filled and speechless Thomas to run. A group of natives takes John prisoner, thinking he's the murderer and that John attacked Kokaume instead, and Powhatan announces that he will be executed at dawn before the war with the settlers begins. Pocahontas tries to explain, but he furiously scolds her for disobedience and blames Kokaume's death on her foolishness. Thomas returns to the fort in panic and announces John's capture. Radcliffe sees this as an opportunity to attack and rescue John simultaneously, and they arrive just as John is about to be executed. Before Powhatan can strike, Pocahontas throws herself over John, telling him that if her father kills John, then he'll have to kill her too. Powhatan orders her to stand aside, but she refuses and tells him that she loved John, and that Powhatan must see where the path of hatred has brought them, asking him to choose his own path. Powhatan thinks about his daughter's words, while seeing his warriors and the settlers getting ready to strike. As the wind blows around him, he realizes that he will be personally responsible for the unnecessary deaths of many more people if he goes through with the execution. He lowers his club and orders John to be set free, declaring that if any more killing is to take place, he will not start it. This convinces both the settlers and the warriors to lower their weapons as well. Radcliffe, who is still unmoved and determined not to return to England empty-handed, orders the settlers to fire anyway, but they refuse, wanting peace after seeing John released. Radcliffe, after failing to convince them it is all a trick, fires at Chief Powhatan himself, but John pushes the chief aside and is shot instead. The settlers turn on Radcliffe, capturing him and sending him back to England to await punishment for high treason, despite his claims that it was Smith's own fault for deliberately stepping in the path of the blast. He is bound by heavy chains, all while the angry denouncing them as the traitors, that he will see them all punished for it. John survives the gunshot, but he must return to England for medical treatment. Pocahontas and her people arrive to see them off, and John and Pocahontas bid their goodbyes. Pocahontas promises John that she'll always be in his heart as she stands atop a cliff and watches the ship carrying John depart.